All right, this is for my adventuresome friends out there who would like to try making a bird's nest out of salt dough. So what you're going to do is you're going to combine all of the ingredients that were on the recipe. It was flour, salt, cream of tartar, and oil. And I have that kind of all here in this bowl here. And I'm kind of sort of mixing that all up. And then the last step is to add warm water. Now the recipe that I gave you, I cut that in half. So that's also an option if you don't want to make quite as much dough. And then you're just going to carefully mix in the water. With all of this other stuff. And slowly it is starting to create a dough. So now I'm just stirring it up even more. And at first it seemed like it was going to be really kind of runny and sticky, but the more I stir it, the more it's kind of coming together as a dough. And now I kind of have sort of this nice dough mixed up. It's not sticky at all. And so now I will show you how to use this dough to make a bird's nest. All right, so now you have your dough, and that was really pretty easy. And so what you can do is you can take some of the dough out of the bowl. And even with halving the recipe, there's still quite a bit of dough. But maybe if more than one of your kids wants to make something from this dough, then you could make the full recipe. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking the dough and I'm kind of working it in my hands, and I'm kind of deciding how big I would want my bird's nest to be. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of gonna put some of the dough. I took about as much as I think I would want. And then what you can do is I'm going to kind of, maybe it's a little too much. Maybe if you roll it into a ball that is about the size of maybe a little bit smaller than a baseball. And then what you can do is if you kind of stick your finger into the middle and then kind of squeeze and turn, you kind of get this little sort of bowl shape like this. And then once you have this little bowl shape, then the last thing, I'm going to show you a couple other things you can do before you let it dry. All right, so to give your nest maybe some texture, to make it look like it's more like a bird's nest, you can take sort of like a fork or something else like that, and you can sort of put some texture into the nest. You could also use I have it here, like you could use a wooden skewer. And you could also put some texture into the nest. I'm finding that the dough is rather sort of flimsy, but I'm guessing probably as it dries, or as it sits here for a little bit, it will get a little bit firmer. There, I was able to like sort of push back up the edges a little bit, and just kind of adding some texture with the skewer. You could also, if you were outside and you found some natural things like some leaves or some sticks, another cool thing you could do with this is that you could press those things into the nest and then let it dry. If you put natural things into the salt dough, then you'll just have to kind of let it air dry for a couple days, and you can just leave it on this piece of foil, and you can kind of set it sort of in a warm, sunny place, and then it will dry, and then voila, you will have a bird's nest, and the bird can sit in it just like that. And if it's not quite big enough, you can kind of stretch it out so that there, now the bird fits in. And if I need to rough it up again a little bit, you can do that. If you have some salt dough left over, this is also fun. You can make certain things with it. So maybe you want to make, you could roll, you could make some eggs for the nest like this. And what you can do with salt dough, I didn't write it on the recipe, but you can also, if you turn your oven on to probably a low heat, maybe like around 200 or so, and then you put the salt dough on a cookie sheet on some foil, you might be able to have it dry out a little bit quicker. So you could make little eggs for the nest with this. And the dough is just kind of fun to sculpt with and make things with and kind of play around with. So if you actually have extra dough, that one was a little big. If you have extra dough, you can kind of play around with it and have fun with it. And so there, I'm making a couple eggs. For my bird's nest. And it's kind of setting up. And voila!